Start. Okay, brilliant. We'll make a start then. Hi, so my name is Asim. We haven't met. I'm one of the consultants here at JobLogic. I'll be taking you through the training. We've got two sessions booked in. One for this morning, 9:30 till 12:30. And I believe we rescheduled one of the other sessions for this Thursday morning. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, fantastic. So we'll go through everything we need to go through between these two sessions, hopefully. And again, as I mentioned, both of these sessions are recorded, and I'll send these out to yourself once they download from Zoom um, to my email, and I'll send you like a nice follow-up email thereafter. A couple of rules before we make a start. Please try keeping noise and phone calls to a minimum. We'll take regular breaks, and thank you for having your video on. Much appreciated. Just makes everything a bit more human-centered here. Hey, perfect. So before we begin, just to mention, I've got your system on my side of things here in JobLogic. What I'll be doing is I'll be logging into your system. All your any clicks and any setup or settings that we play around with today and configurations we make today will be saved on your system. However, you can go ahead to make any changes you require thereafter. So just a point just to mention.
And also,
Um,
if you, that means you're going to be recording that, I can watch it like later as well. All we say.
yes.
Thank you.
That's right, that noise. All right, perfect. So just a little bit about myself, and I'm going to pass it over to you. So I've been a consultant for over 10 years. I've been a consultant for JobLogic for 2.5 now, and I've been doing many implementations for various different industries. Hopefully, I've got some experience behind me just to kind of take you through from now to the end and just guide you through the whole process. So over to you. If you don't mind just introducing yourself, tell me a little about yourself, about your business, and what you're looking to achieve out of these sessions, please.
Okay.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, we just I'm just running the Oxford Handy Guys company. We've got basically several handymans, So uh, we got 7 handymans in the total, and then yeah, that's why I applied for the job logic because it's I just want to have everything in one place.
But you said you got several. Is it several handymans? You said or seven?
Several. Yeah, 7 handymans
Mhm.
got. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to just put everything in one place, make it easier for me to run the company.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see you've got three licenses in total at the moment. One currently
At the
used by.
moment, yeah, because there's gonna be three different vans, yeah, and each one there is 2 guys.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So there'll be one mobile phone between each person, then I'll be using it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Do you yourself, do you go out on jobs as well?
It's not often, not very often.
It'd be mainly office work for yourself then,
Yeah.
and doing things like that. Okay. Sorry, can I get your name? Sorry, I didn't quite
My
get.
name is Vas. Yes, sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay, perfect. So, just to begin with regards to job logic, um, we can, as you know, log jobs on the system, log quotes, do invoicing, and various different aspects of job logic. I'm going to ask a few questions just to identify and understand a little bit how you work. So you mentioned you've got three vans, you have multiple engineers in each one.
Yeah.
So we are going to be raising jobs on the system and sending out jobs on the mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Engineers will complete jobs on the mobile phone, and the data comes back into your system. Are you looking to invoice our job logic or raise invoices in here?
Yes, because yeah, I will. Yeah, because we got the. I think you connected with Xero, right? So
Yes. So 1 second. I go to settings and account integration. We've got the zero integration just here.
mm-hmm.
What you can do in this case, this is the first bit of homework I'm going to give you. In this pathway, settings and account integration, first thing to do is click on this called Setup Zero Client. It requires a client ID and a client secret, and what we call it. Um, if you don't know what those are, don't worry, because inside here, click here to download the guidelines. I give that a click. It tells us step-by-step instructions of what you need to click onto and what to do.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'm going to send this out to yourself as well. So I'll make a list of everything that needs to be done, and I'll send this in an email as well for you guys.
Thank you.
Perfect. And what I'll do is I'll make a nice tidy email at the end of all of this. I'll send it out to you with the recording as well, so you can follow it up through if you need to. Okay, perfect. So you're going to be doing invoicing inside JobLogic as well. That's fine. Do you raise quotes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do quoting. Do you have servicing works that you provide for your customers?
What was that?
Do you do servicing works?
No.
Regular works that you, is it just reactive works? Customer
Oh,
calls
yeah,
up.
I mean, sometimes, but not very often. But yes, that could be some, yeah, in the
Yeah,
future.
that's fine. And are you looking to raise purchase order outside of JobLogic as well?
That is, what does that mean? Purchase order?
Go to a supplier and you raise an order with themselves?
Not really.
That's fine. And do you have a log of assets at all?
I mean, tools.
Sorry, what was that?
You mean assets like a tools or?
Not tools, more so like you see an asset of a dishwasher or a washing machine. If you've got a record of that, no, okay, that's fine. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. It just gives me an understanding of what to cover within the sessions, and I'll take you through everything that you need to do. Before we continue, I'm just going to have a quick look at your customer listing. Okay, that's fine. And I believe you've had a conversation with Bilal, your onboarding consultant. Have you
Yeah.
spoken to anyone else? And did he talk to you about your data?
Yes, we did, but
Okay.
he told me if I want to import it, the customers from the because I got ClearBooks. He asked me if I want to transport the customers from the ClearBook to this system, but I said I'm just gonna do it as we go. As I'm after training, when I'm gonna understand this program, I will start importing customers as we go. You know, because
Okay.
I got it's 7 years old, the ClearBook, so I just got like hundreds of customers, which is like they're never gonna call me back. You know, so
Yeah.
I would prefer to just have it as I go and just build it up again from the
Okay,
scratch.
that makes sense. No problem at all. Just to let you know, one of my colleagues, Mohammed Bilal, has just jumped on the call. He's just observing here today. He's just going to sit quietly in the background. I think he's just going to say hello. Mohammed, can you hear us? I don't know if his microphone's working, but that's fine. He's just going to sit quietly. I'll be leading the session for yourself here today. So, just mentioning what you mentioned, Devas, about the
So
um.
is it audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Okay. Um. So I was just mentioning about the customers. With ClearBooks, as you mentioned, maybe go through the listing of what customers you are currently using, and those are the ones you want to bring through within JobLogic. But as I mentioned, your onboarding consultant Bilal will help you out with that. And if there's
Mhm.
any issues at all, drop me a message or drop him a message, and we can help you out with that as well.
All right.
All right, fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the very beginning. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to actually go into your settings here today to begin with. Inside your settings, there are some key settings we've got within JobLogic, and I'm going to run through them with you just to make sure everything's set up for yourself. There will be bits of homework that I'll provide for you, and some bits I'll actually do with you whilst we're here today. Okay, brilliant. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No, fine, man.
Perfect. So just to begin with, we've got activation details. Inside here, it just tells us how many licenses you have got in total and how many currently are in use, and what your subscription start and end date actually is. All it
Mhm.
is, it just tells you some information here. There's nothing you can really do, but it gives you information. If you are looking to increase licenses, let's just say you get another 4 or 5 different handymen, you can get them added onto the system. You can speak to our sales team. We can get that added on for you. Next, I've got is company setup. So in this case, it provides all your details in terms of your company details. So you got your name, your address details, your main company information. Do you have a website at all? Company website?
Yes, it's the oxfordhoneyguys.io. Yeah, exactly. As you.
Like that?
Yes.
Love it. I'm just gonna get the mouse. And is that your main company telephone number, or do you have like a landline?
Yeah, that's the main one.
Main one, perfect. Okay, so on the right hand side, if I click edit, a little bit of homework to begin with. Underneath your company setup, what we're gonna do is upload a logo yourself. So if you've got like a high resolution logo, you can when next time you log into JobLogic, just get into this area. and browse and upload a logo from your desktop. And what it will do is replace the JobLogic logo. So instead of having that, it'll have your logo instead. Perfect. On your business hours, what are your working hours for your engineers? What times do they normally work?
Pretty much what you got over there.
Okay, that's fine.
Plus Saturday.
Saturday. Is it 9 to 5 on Saturday as well?
Yeah, but I mean, let's put 8. Let's put 8 everywhere.
8 for every day?
Yeah, 8 till maybe 6. It's better because that's what they do sometimes as well.
Sure. Now we've configured that, just to show you what that does. Inside the system, you have engineers and something called View Planner. Your planner is your engineer's diary. And inside the diary itself, it will show us anywhere in the white space means working hours, anywhere in the gray space means non-working hours. And you can differentiate like the cost and the value of how much it costs your engineers to go on a job in hours and out of hours. We'll talk more about that later on. But yeah, it gives you the option to do that, but it's just a nice clear view there. Okay, perfect.
And
Those
then
are
each account is gonna have its own calendar as well, or it's gonna be just overlap
yes.
everything?
You have it on calendars also. Just to show you my calendar, it'll appear something similar to like this. So you'll have each engineer and they'll have their own jobs on every single one like that.
So if you got 2 engineers in one day or 3 engineers in one day, is it just how is that gonna look?
So if you do, you can change the view you see. So you got, in this case, a day view and a week view. So you can see daily what everybody's up to. You can also see on a week by week basis and the names expand, etc. So you can see how that works that way.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm going to jump into system setup now. So when I go into that area on the right hand side, you can see there's a few bits we're going to just quickly go through within this part. This is the longest part of all the training in terms of all the settings, but I'm not going to go through every single one right now. Some bits I'm going to leave for now completely because you're not using them. Some things we'll come back to in our next session on Thursday. But if anything does stand out, just let me know. We'll go through it then. So just to let you know, you got your desktop details, and because you're based in the UK, all of the details generally are pretty much set up correctly. But if you wanted to change anything, feel free to go in. The only thing I'd recommend to change is this one, default document type. So when you send out a quote or invoice to a customer, instead of sending as a Word file, most likely you want to send it as PDF.
PDF, yes.
Yeah, perfect. There are settings we've got for selling rates, meaning that we can have rates for some customers at a higher rate and some customers at a lower rate. But I'll talk more so about the costing and the sell in our next session there. Do you charge by the hour or do you have like a fixed price for the job?
Depends. Sometimes ours, sometimes it's fixed price.
Okay. If it is done by the hour,
Most of the time it's a fixed price.
okay. If you do ever do it via a hourly basis, do you round up to like the nearest 15 minutes or 20, 30 minutes or what does it work?
30 minutes round up.
And as you can see within the system, when I click edit, anytime you make any changes, just click save and that updates that things on the system. There's this one setting called visit traveling, which I quite find useful. Now, what this means is that I want to read this out. By checking this, engineers will not be able to record travel to other visits until the current visit is marked as the following status. So if I'm one of your engineers, I can't go to job number 2 until I've completed job number 1. Would you like me to put that on or do you want to leave it off?
Yeah, I mean that's useful. I guess it's on, but in a case, you know, I mean, they forced to leave in case of like I don't know, they run out of material, they cannot get any more. Is that not gonna like make it?
Because of that second option called left site,
Okay, that's cool.
what the engineers can do, they press the button.
I can see now. Sorry, man. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll press pause, basically stop the clock. go to the supplier, pick up the materials, come back on site and carry on. So the labor, the actual time on site is true. That's what we can get from there. This one I'm going to switch on, but I'll show you how that works in our next session there for ourselves, and I'll explain how that works there for you. We have a facility to add notes in JobLogic, and those notes by default are marked as private, meaning your customers won't get to see them on a job sheet or an invoice or anything like that. We can also configure them to mark as public, and you can do that individually or as default. Are you happy to keep all the notes right now as private?
Yes.
Do you require signatures to be made mandatory?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
You mean signature from the customer, yeah?
Signatures back from the engineers.
Oh,
So on the device, the engineers have to sign off on the mobile phone.
I mean, no, not really. That's fine. For the moment, it's fine. Like, maybe in the future I will change it.
No problem. So in this case, we've got the next one called non-productive time. In the diary we just looked at earlier, engineers have the facility not only to log jobs, and just like you saw with my system, what we can also do is book non-productive time. Non-productive time means like things like holidays. So you can select the engineer in question. In the type, you can click onto where it says holiday, and you can then add in the date or time when the holiday is going to be acquired. In this example, as you can see, I marked that on Friday as holiday for yourself, and it blocks off the diary in the system there. Now, it's not, JobLogic's not a HR system, but it's a good way just to notify what's like blocked off, so we know what's available, what's not available when you are booking jobs out. Now, in the system, the settings, we've got this called deductible days allowance. So let's just say you provided to your team 25 days of holiday every year. Now I've got that set up in the background. If I was to give you another holiday, you can see it takes that down to 24. Because I've already got one booked out in the background. And you can do this for everyone, giving everybody the same allowance, or you can also do it individually per engineer. But I'll show you how that works later and on the system just there. Is there any particular number you'd like me to put in there, or leave it blank for now?
Blank is okay for now.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly run through some of this. I'm just going to look through this, just ask a couple of questions. Do you have on-call engineers?
What does that mean?
So yeah, for example, you've got engineer, the main person you're going to call after hours, where the main person will be if there's any further jobs that need to be sent out.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, is that something, should I set that up for you?
Yes.
When you're raising jobs, do you require a purchase order number from your customer?
No. Not all the time. Like we like that mostly when we work private, obviously that people don't require it. But when we work for some bigger companies, then I'm getting that numbers from them. Yeah.
Okay. So just to let you know, that comes when you're logging a job on the system, you've got this option called customer order number. And if it was made mandatory, there'll be a red star next to it. But yeah, if you got like residential customers, you're not going to get that, are you? So you're not going to enter that, just I'll leave it blank. Okay, put that one as private, and that's it for that. The next part you got is financial details. Do you have a VAT number?
No, because I'm a sole trader register.
No problem. What tax rates do you normally work with?
It depends on the year, but
It's absolutely fine. What's going to happen is, just to let you know, for your tax rates and your nominal codes, this information come from zero. Now, I mentioned earlier when you integrate the software, when you integrate the software, the data will automatically pull through on the system. At the moment, there's not going to be any values within these drop-down menus. But if you can get this done between now and Thursday in our next session, what I'm going to do is I'll show you how we can pull that data across. So what happens is they synchronize the data across with JobLogic, And then from here, those values will appear inside the system for these lines that we have.
Okay.
Brilliant.
But normally, you know, we give them we're giving them price including tax when people asking for quotes, you know. So
Okay. Okay, perfect. I understand.
yeah, so I always I always price the job including the tax, basically.
Including tax. Okay. Invoice details. Inside joblog, you can enter your invoice details here. So when you send out an invoice to a customer, things like your bank details will automatically populate. So it's already there on the system every single time you do that. Again, this is something I want to add into your list of a bit of homework to add on. So I'll add that to your list of things to do. Whilst we're here, do you have a payment due date from your customer? Like, when do they have to pay by?
Like second day always, so for 1 day basically. If like unless they requested more days.
And the same question for your quoting. Do you have a quote lifespan? How long it lasts for? Is it like 30 days or is it like, how does it work? So when you raise a quote to a customer, one of the options we've got is assigning an expiry date. So how long does it last for?
I mean, I'm whatever they want. If they want use our services even after 2 months, I'm still cool. Even after half year, you know, it's
Okay.
not to send them.
It's not something you keep. All right, that's fine. We'll leave it as nothing for now. But if you were to say, like, for example, Mr. Customer, this quote's going to expire next month, we can give that a click, or end of the week, let's just say, we can enter a date just like that. Now, even if a quote expired, you can still go in and upgrade it into a job.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Is it going to remind them or something on its own?
Not through the standard system, no. But there is other options we have got for quote notifications. There's like additional add-ons in our marketplace for that process. There is this button called data. Only you'll have access to this. This allows you to delete all the settings in one go. Basically, you restart the system. But you can't accidentally do this because if you give that a click, you have to enter your email address, that code at the bottom, and press delete. And then there's a countdown from 10 to 0. But you can't accidentally do that. And no one else is going to have access to that. Okay, next one we got is number convention. I'm going to scroll down, and as you can see, the standard default jobs we've got in JobLogic are logged here as callouts, commissioning works, direct sales, etc., etc., etc. What we can do in your system is that when you're logging a job on the system, you've got these type of job types set up on the system just there. This listing will then cause this job number to occur. I don't know if you previously worked with job numbers, but it gives you the option to like separate your jobs within the type of works that you carry out. Is there anything that you can see there that you're not going to do? You mentioned servicing is something you might not really be doing. But anything else that you can think of that you might not be doing?
Direct sale, I mean, we don't sell anything, so probably not that.
So I'm going to delete that just on the right hand side. And just to show you, you can also update these existing ones. For example, installation. Instead of having the prefixes I prefer to have INS. And instead of having loads of zeros, have a random number like this. So two reasons why. One, you know that anything starting with 92 is JobLogic, and everything else might have been a previous system. And also your customers will look at that and thinking, oh, you guys have done loads of installations. It might be a good idea to have a random number like this set up on the system across the board for each one of these.
Understood, yeah.
You might want to even add further job types, and you've got the option to do that on the right-hand side.
Okay, so I can basically price like changing the tabs, yeah, I mean, whatever, yeah, we do quite often, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can rename them or add new ones if you wanted to. And above that, you've got the same structure for things like your quoting, for invoicing, etc. I'm just going to add in a couple of prefixes for you. And again, Think about the numbers as well. If you wanted to change that, you've got the facility to do that there as well.
Okay, cool.
And again, I'll add that on for you. Like I said, I'll send this out in a nice tidy email after, along with the recording as well, so you can recap between the two if you needed to.
No problem.
Now, in JobLogic, you've also got another area called electronic forms. Now, what forms are, it's like a questionnaire. Engineers have to fill out a list of answers based upon the questions asked about a type of job. The questioners will then pull out like a PDF. For example, and this is just a random example, this will be like the answers will appear inside the PDF itself. So the questions and the values that the engineers enter will appear in the relevant table. You just choose something else completely at random. So you can see they've got a different type of forms we already have within JobLogic. There's
Okay.
also things like risk assessments and other things that you can have a look into. Now, if any of those forms you look at and think, you know what, that's pretty good, you can deploy those forms. That becomes active on your system then. So when engineers go out to carry out those works, they can fill out that form whilst they're on the job. And they can do that on the mobile phone device. I'm going to
Okay.
show you the mobile phone device training on Thursday. So yeah, I'll go through the forms with you as well at that stage. But once you deploy a form here, in your main system settings we were looking at earlier, on the right-hand side, it also becomes assigned here just within that listing. Okay, so there's a few bits of homework or to-do list we need to do in the system setup, but that's so far we got. Everything so far makes sense? Any questions?
Yes, all good now.
Perfect. I'm going to go to your staff information on the left-hand side. I'm going to click on your name or your email address. Sorry, I'm just going to change that. Is it VAS? You mentioned your first name. Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
Is it Gabana or your surname?
No, that is a middle name. But if you you want my email or
Yeah, just do first name and surname, please.
OPL
OPL.
USTIL.
Thank you very much. Plus, where are you from originally?
Czech.
Okay, nice. I was thinking, obviously, with the name, I've never heard that before. Thank you. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, when we've got I've just updated that just so your name looks clear and concise there. But in JobLogic, as I mentioned earlier, it's a permission-based system. So you can define the levels of access that you provide for your users. Some people can have higher level access, some people have lower access. You can even have some people only for the office and some people only for mobile, or both. If I go to the users or the main staff settings, inside here, what we can do is click add a user. Now, let's just say as an example, I was going to enter myself on your system. Not that I am, but just to show you. We can add in the name and the email address and other things like the address details. But the main thing is here. If I'm going to be an office member user, we click office. If I'm going to click a mobile user, I'm going to click mobile. If you need that person to have access to both, you click on both. Office license takes one license. Mobile will take one license. If you add both, we're not going to double charge you. It'll still only be one license.
Oh, that's cool.
If you notice, there's also a third one called non-login user. So you can add in another person on the system, but we won't charge you at all. That's only for reference, but they can't log into JobLogic. It's like if you had an apprentice, so you can enter some notes about the person on the system, like I don't know, Andrew's going to be on this job as an apprentice, but he doesn't have access to JobLogic. When you do add in the office
So
or
he can have a look at the schedules or what he can do actually.
he can't log in at all if you did not log
I
in.
understand now. I understand. That's basically, yeah, I understand.
For someone on access to the web system, you click on Office. And within here, you've got user roles and permissions. In the drop-down menu, we've provided 4 standard roles. Some of these roles will have more access than others. For example, a job desk user, it gives you 300 levels of accesses within the main business. The main business is on the left-hand side. But if I went to the administrator, it gives you 461.
Mhm.
These baseline permissions, you can see
And when it's engineer over there, how many is there?
with the engineer, there's nothing in the business because they don't have access to the web system. It's only the mobile.
Yeah.
Just going back to the job desk user, you can see if I scroll down, some things I've got X and some things I've got a green tick. Anything with green tick, that means they can do it. Anything with a red cross means they can't. But you can swap things over. For example, I want to grant permissions or I want to deny permissions.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this doesn't change that role. It changes it only for that one person there.
Yeah.
The main business is on the left-hand side just here.
Mm-hmm.
User and staff gives the person access to this tile.
Okay.
The libraries give you access to this tile. The advanced feature is all about deleting items. And the mobile, of course, is just the mobile device itself. Another thing with the mobile, if you are going to give access to mobile, you have to make sure that is selected as well.
Okay.
Once you've added on a user onto JobLogic, you can see what we'll do is it'll send out email to that user. They will log in with a username and password. Once they log into the system, whether it's the mobile or the web system, they can start using JobLogic. Within here, you've got a few options across the top, including adding additional notes about the person. For example, in the past, I've seen things like next of kin. Some people add things like that on the system. Within the notes, you just start entering notes, just typing something in. And you can save the note on the right-hand side. You can even add attachments as well. You've also got profile image, so you can add an image with themselves if you want to. If you fancy adding a selfie for yourself, feel free. And you can also add documents as well. The documents you add on here are specifically for that user only. So I can add a document and that will become available just then,
Just for them.
just for that one login user.
What kind of documents, like, let's say, like liability insurance, if they need to show it somewhere, or?
Yeah, so what I've seen in the past is like proof of identification,
Mm-hmm.
DPS certificates, qualifications, things like that have been very useful in the past that I've seen.
Okay.
Now, these documents are individually for that one login user. But if I cancel that, in the settings, there's another area for company documents. So you got the first one that I just showed specifically.
Sorry, man.
So we've got some documents specifically for the user under staff, but company documentation will be more so for like insurance documents and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, feel free to use one, both, or neither. It's up to you, but the both options are available for yourself. Just as a reminder, everything I'm showing you today is, remember, it's not set in stone. You can change your mind in how you work. I have seen many customers who do that. So if you wanted to change anything, you can do.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. In the middle, you've got engineer details. Most of this information we're going to run through in our second session. But one thing just to mention, if I go all the way to the bottom, you can add in your own deductible days allowance per person. So let's just say you've got another user with a higher holiday count or a less holiday count. You can change that just there. Just to ask, as you mentioned earlier, we're going to do this via vans, right? Are the same people in the same vans all the time? Do they
Yeah.
change?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay, that's fine then. If it was changing, then we might have had a problem. But in this case, that's perfect. That's fine. Okay, Bas, can I ask, are you happy with the pace? How are we going? You okay with everything so far?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Brilliant. Okay. Do you take credit card payments?
Not really, but we will start soon.
Okay. We've got a facility called Stripe.
Mhm.
Stripe is integrated directly with JobLogic, allowing you to make secure payments to you. And if you are looking to go down that route, you can connect to Stripe just there.
Yeah, and that's what I need to get the unit from the Stripe, right? Like the little machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
We spoke about electronic forms earlier. We've
Mhm.
also gone through account integration. The libraries we're going to talk about on Thursday. But the libraries, just to show you, it's just a list of items, a list of parts, a list of equipment, a list of
Okay.
tasks,
So each
and so
engineer
on.
can basically upgrade like his stock and the van and his tools and that, yeah?
When it comes to stock, stock is a separate thing altogether.
Oh, okay, cool.
But we could start entering that information there within the main system. Engineers won't be able to add stock to themselves.
We don't know
It'll
it.
only be done on the web system.
So is it, let's say, stock in a warehouse for us, yeah?
Yeah. You can add in stock against vans or different locations, you can, but only on the web system. The engineers can't do that on the mobile phone.
Cool.
There's an option called scheme providers. If you have any registration numbers you would like to enter, just press edit and update that information. Just a bit further down, you've also got audit trail. So anytime something's happened within JobLogic, whether it's on the mobile device or the web system, there's an electronic footprint about it. And you can see what action it was or audit trail, the type of action it was, the time it happened, and you can filter out the results just there. So anytime something's added, edited, or deleted, there's an audit for it on the system.
Okay.
And specifically, there's an audit for also every integration that's happened. So anytime you send over the data from JobLogic to Zero, we can see the synchronization history against that.
Okay.
We've got also something called customer portal access. I don't know whether this will be useful for you because of the type of clientele that you have.
I mean, if we work for someone which is not home for 2 weeks, we're doing renovation or something, then the progress can be, I guess, uploaded, right? Like pictures
Yeah.
every day, and then I'll send them a link and they can have a look at it, yeah?
Yeah, that's exactly what you can
That's
do.
fine, because we do that sometimes, innit? But that would be helpful.
Perfect. With the customer portal access, with regards to, and you could always send it for residential customers if you wanted to. You know, you might have a regular person who might want to see things in the past, but it's up to you. How this works is you give that a click, similar to how having to add in new staff members. When you add in a portal user, but this time, when you add in the name and the email address, you provide the access level. The access level will be the customer or the site information.
Okay.
I want to explain more about those two different points in a few moments' time. But again, similar to what we talked about, you choose what levels of permissions you want to share with your customer. And for yourself, it'll be things like the invoice information or information about the job itself. And again, you can choose certain things, what you want the user to see or what they can do. And probably also things like quote information is quite a useful one that might be useful. But it's very similar to what we mentioned. You save that, it sends an email to the user, and they can then log in once they've created a password.
Okay.
I'll show you more about that later on how that works. Okay, anytime you import information inside JobLogic, you've also got something called history of imports. So that's regarding if you've got your customer imports you want to import into the system, if you've got, see what else things will be relevant for yourself. If you've got any list of parts that you may want to enter within JobLogic, things like that. We'll see a history log of all the data that's been imported within JobLogic just there. I'm going to come back to that one later. We spoke about the company documentation. And you've also got every email you send out of JobLogic is stored within this tile. Do you use subcontractors?
Sometimes, yeah.
If you were looking to add subcontractors in JobLogic, you give that a click. Add your subcontractor and add in the details, name, the email address, etc. So if I just do one just to show you, so right, this will be best. And save that information. And when we've got the subcontractor on the system, again, you can add in things like the documentation against our subcontractor, any additional notes. And I'll show you how to use a subcontractor later on. We'll go talk about jobs. But with your subcontractors, it doesn't work with the mobile application. How it works is you raise a job inside JobLogic, you send the job via email to the subcontractor, and they will email back to you or communicate back to you, might give you a phone call to say what's been done, and you will manually close down the job.
Okay.
When you email out with JobLogic, you have got some standardized emails of the system. For example, a job email. Currently, this is how your email will look like. And these off-the-shelf templates are pretty good. They do the job. If you wanted to customize it, you can press edit, add in some details. For example, and you can add in whatever information that you wanted to and update the template as you require. And the same goes for all types of emails you have in JobLogic, including the quoting emails, invoicing emails, etc.
Amazing.
The last one I want to mention right now is the email notification. With this one, you can set up automated emails to be sent out of JobLogic to your customers. For example, job allocated. When you raise a job inside JobLogic, you can customize the message that is sent across. For example, you can activate that email, and you can even make it as a default for every new contact that received this email. You could also have custom information inside there. For example, your job with the job number has not been allocated on a particular time period, and even adding in things like the customer name.
So when the job is going to be booked, like let's say in the calendar, in the job logic, then I just click on this and it's going to automatically appear there, yeah?
That's right. So every time you select this email, the data is automatically sent out with this information, and it customizes it per email.
All right.
Now, not only do you need it here, but there's another area of the system as well. So I'm going to come back to this part later on. But when you are setting up customers in the system, as well as the contacts, they'll be available inside there. Okay, we've gone through that pretty thoroughly there. Any questions at all? Or anything that you've got any concerns about?
For the moment, I guess like when I'm going to be doing all that, I probably need to call, so like not 100%, but sometimes maybe I need to ask like, what's up? But I pretty much understand everything at the moment.
No problem.
Maybe
That's your
remember everything, but then I can call you obviously, innit?
Yeah, of course. That's your main one that we've got right now. Remember, the guide will literally give you screenshots and step-by-step things what to click onto.
Amazing.
As you can see, it just highlights what you need to click onto every single time. But
Okay.
again, if you run into any problems, let me know. Or you've also got live chat. So you've got online support. You can email me, but if I'm in another training session, which most likely I will be, I might take a little while to respond.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here, live chat, drop us a message. We'll reply to you under 4 minutes. Send us a message, and you can type a message out, even adding things like screenshots and things like that if you might be struggling with anything. So it's pretty good with that.
That's very helpful. Yeah.
And they're available 24/7 as well.
All right.
Also, one last thing, this might be useful for yourself, as if I go to knowledge base underneath the help part, this is an online web portal as well. And inside there's articles and video guides. So if I went into one of the user guides and clicked onto something, let's go to staff setup, add engineer. It tells you once again, step-by-step instructions of what to click onto and what to do. Or alternatively, if I typed in a word, In this case, as you can see, it tells us.
You can update these using the tag.
I won't play that, but as you can tell, it has a voiceover and a video guide across how to do things. So you can pause, go in the live system, click on the buttons, and carry on that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just underneath the help center. So there's quite a few points of call.
How did you
Again,
get there again, please? To the help to the video?
help and knowledge base just.
Knowledge base, yeah. Okay.
And then you can type it in, or you can go through the video guide yourself on the left-hand side.
Okay.
As I mentioned, you can always drop me an email as well. Any problems, any concerns, let me know and I'll help you out where I can. And also, you got Bilal, your onboarding consultant who you've spoken to before about your data.
Yeah.
Hey, brilliant. All right, fantastic. Before we continue with anything else in JobLogic, what I'm going to do, we're going to start adding in a test customer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll add in some test data, and at the end of Thursday, we can delete that test customer. So all your data will be clear and you can start working on the system as soon as. Do you have a date in mind when you're looking to go live and you start using JobLogic?
Most likely, just like I would say next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I was planning to buy the devices for the team, but I guess like they can use their own device for the moment, right?
Yep.
And then what? They're just gonna sign into the new device when I give it to them, or do I need to? Is it
No,
gonna be?
that's exactly, you're absolutely correct. So go into their own personal mobile phones, for example, or tablets. They go to your Apple iStore or your or your Android Play Store,
Yeah.
type in JobLogic and download the free application. They would log in with a username and password. Once they're on their personal device, they can start using it. They'll see all new jobs. Only thing is, if they start using another device, then the new jobs will only appear in the new device.
Yeah, I got it.
And if you want these jobs to appear in there, you have to redeploy them. I'll show you how to do that.
And it's also does it track in a lifetime also where they are, like from the phone?
So we've got something called live tracking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of settings required. One of those settings in the background we've seen, and it's already active. Also, in the engineer setup, you need to add in the address details. And on the mobile device, when they log in initially, it will ask them, do you allow the permissions to have the location switched on?
Yeah.
If they say no, then we can't. But what this will do is give you this, a live engineer map. So at the moment, it doesn't have, it shows you here, and you'll have a list of engineers on the right-hand side. If I click on the target, we can see where people are.
Okay.
But this will update every time only the engineer presses the buttons on the mobile phone. So we can't see what people are doing on a Saturday night. We can't update that. It's
Yeah,
not.
I got it. Like only when they're using the app, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, it's not like, like Uber Eats, where you can see the driver goes around the path like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's not like that. It'll only show like every 10 minutes that could jump from there to there if
I got it.
and traveled across. So there's some limiting factors, but it's a pretty good system generally there. On a side note, we've also got vehicle trackers. If you are interested in that at all, then let me know. But there's another option for that if you're looking for tracking. Okay, fantastic. Are you happy to carry on? Do you need a break at all?
I'll just go quickly to the toilet, mate, and I'll be back. Yeah.
Let's take a 10-minute break and we'll carry on from there.
No worries. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Lass uns dann mit dem Break machen. No combat ako niečo tak postavil, som sopro vydať sa sedno, no nemám to rád, stáva, že? Inak asi ono, som tam tady vám nie, ešte taká oblička, ja som mal vtedy kvitavú. Ma cosa cos'è?
Hey, Bas.
All right.
You okay to carry?
Yeah.
Cool. Can you see my screen? Sorry, Bas. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
fantastic. We'll start off and we'll create a customer just to begin with, a test customer, and we'll do some things like adding jobs and quotes here today on that test customer and site. What I like to do then is deploy some jobs out, and then on next session, you'll see how we can work with the mobile device, how we pull it through back inside JobLogic, as well as the invoicing side as well.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go to my customers and add a customer on the left-hand side. And this time, again, we're doing it manually, but again, you're going to be importing the data later on. Can you think of like a commercial customer that you already have on the system?
Let's say commercial, we do visits often to it. It's one of the clinic, NHS. It's called MSI Oxford. Yeah, reproductive choices. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. As you can see, that first field that we've got is more so like a Google search. You can type in the details and it'll start pulling through the information there on the system. Now, one thing to mention, if I just started typing MSI, as you can see, I've got results all over the world. Algeria, Malta, South Africa, etc. Just add in more details. So as I just type in Oxford, and it brings that specific area of which one I'm looking for.
Yeah.
When you give that a click, it pre-populates the fields for yourself, including the customer name, the address details, postcode, and other things that you can enter as well. Something will be blank, like the telephone number. You can enter that manually yourself. What I am going to do, because this is going to be my test customer, I'm just going to call it test customer. And again, we'll delete this after everything's been done. But as you can see, I'm adding the customer name and the details across. You have got other facilities to add on, such as adding in the customer type, and you can configure this listing if you wanted to, whether you only work with commercial residents or other types of customers. You can also delete these as well in the background. But the point is, you can then have filters and do searching, reporting off the back of this if required.
Cool.
You've also got a reference number and account number. The reference number is any additional numbers that you may have assigning against that customer, whereas the account number is what will appear in an invoice. Let's add something in like that. We talked about earlier briefly about selling rates.
So the account number, let's say, because that is not like, obviously that is not a full account number, what they can pay me to, but this is going to basically link that I'm going to put that account number I want to use to get paid. I mean,
no, it's more so having an account number with the customer. Like if you have got a number for that customer in terms of the account relationship you have with each other. Not your account, not your bank account. This is just an account number that you might have.
Okay, good. Understand.
Next one you got is selling rate. The selling rate is you can choose how you get paid from your customers. And I was also talking about earlier, you can set up multiple rates inside JobLogic. Those multiple rates could have some customers get charged higher, some customers get charged lower.
Also, because obviously per handyman we're charging like, let's say 48 quid per the, what's it called again, plumber. We got 80 quid per hour, you know, and electricians different as well. So that I can set up this way, yeah?
Correct. So on that way, you've got the selling rates. Those will be then all populated within the selling rates in this drop-down listing. There's 3 examples here. You'll have loads and loads of different ones that you can set up there, and you can assign that to the type of customer that you have as well. What you reference right now regarding the plumber and the electrician, that's something called trades. If I went into settings, library, and if I scroll down a little bit, you have engineer trades. So within here, we can start adding in those type of trades.
All right.
We can add in plumber. Oops. Do you have any other type of trades that you have?
A handyman then.
Any of this whilst we're here?
That's it.
Okay, perfect. If you were looking to configure this, I'll add it onto your listing anyway.
So
You might think of something like after the training or something.
so where do you set up the rates for them then?
So the rates we'll talk about that on Thursday, but that underneath the library is going to be underneath selling rates.
Okay, cool.
Just to briefly show you, this is what you're looking for. You'll have your electrician rate you can enter there, your handyman trade there, and your plumber there. So you can have different values. And how that would work is when you're raising a job and you select your customer and your site, you can then choose what trade it is, and that will determine what the hourly rate will be.
All right.
Back to us. We've also got an option called account manager. This is if you had like multiple people in the office and different people look after different customers. And finally, you've got your main contact here on the right-hand side. I'll just make something up. Perfect. There's 2 things I deliberately missed out: tags and auto-generate a site for this customer. Now, if this was a residential customer, the customer and the site is exactly the same.
Yeah.
The customer is the same location or where you're going to. Whereas if you was a commercial customer, you might have different locations for the same customer. For example, if Santander was your customer, Santander is the bank, is the customer, but each banking branch will be the site. Or if Premier Inn, the hotel, was your customer, each hotel will be a site.
Yes.
The main thing is here, if your engineer is going to go to this location to carry out works, you want to make sure that there's a tick in the box. But if the engineer is not going to go to this particular location, uncheck the box. And finally, you've also got tags. Tags are like words you can enter against that customer to search on. For example, similar to what you got in social media. You can type in a word, assign it to that particular customer, and you can filter through that information. And in this case, if I type in VIP customer and click add, that's the tag against that one customer. You can have multiple tags if you wanted to. If I save that and go back to my customer listing, it's just loading. Under all customers, as you can see, there's my new customer added on. And if I wanted to filter, I can click show advanced. I want to see all my VIP customers and search. It filters out the results just there.
Okay.
Now I've got my customers added on. You can update other settings assigned to that customer. So as you can see, I've got my details all across there. I've also got sites. Because I put the tick in the box, you can see I've already got a location there, but you can manually add on another site. If I click add site, I can start searching for it here or manually type it out here. So this time, as it's just a test, I'm going to type this out. I'm based in Leicester, so I'm going to create one for Leicester office. And this time I'm marking him as a site manager. You'll see the difference between the two in a second. There are other things you can enter, such as site reference numbers and areas, which is locations you can set up as well, which I'll talk about later. If I click save, that's now set up on the system as 2 locations. Going back to my main customer now, if I go to sites, you can see I've got 2 locations there. You can add as many sites as you want to against one customer. You can also import as many sites as well as you require. The import feature is via a spreadsheet. So if I click import sites, what this is going to do is download a template. And that will do it on Excel format. You'd fill out the columns of information and then upload them back into JobLogic.
Okay.
Every spreadsheet works very similar to each other. The first line is the header. The second line is the instruction. And the blank space is where you need to start entering information.
All right.
If it says required, it's mandatory. If it says do not enter anything in there, as you probably think, don't enter anything inside there. And if it does have a red an asterisk on it, it doesn't mean it's mandatory. It just means that it's something that part of the instructions of what may need to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, all you have to do is import that back into JobLogic and the data comes across. Happy with that? Any questions?
Fine.
As I referred to previously, Bilal, your onboarding consultant, any problems with regards to adding customer sites, he'll be the main go-to person regarding imports. If you find any problems, let me know as well, and I'll help out wherever I can.
All right.
The next one is your contacts. So you can see Bruce Wayne's name there. You can't see Jason's name, the second person I entered, on the site level. That's because Bruce is added on the customer level, not the site level.
Okay.
I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a few moments' time. You've also got a history of jobs, quotes, invoicing, and so on and so forth, all about this customer. So you can filter out that information just here. You've also got billing details. So you can set up a billing address if you've got a different address of charging customers compared to the main normal address. In the background, we've already got invoice details as the payment during 1 day. But you can change that per customer. So maybe this customer has a different payment due date. You can enter that just there. And all the settings we talked about earlier, if I go to base configuration, as you can see, there's a list of all of the same settings that we've got in the background, but you can change it for this customer only. As it's a commercial customer, you may want to make job order numbers mandatory. You might have a different selling rate. You might even have a rounding option, which is different to your standard norm that you've got in the background. You can configure it per customer. Any questions on that? I've deliberately missed out the information one. I want to talk about that in a few seconds. Vaz, you still there?
Yeah. Of course, I'm here.
I'm sorry, your camera's off, so I can't see you. So what I'm going to do is go into this site level underneath Leicester office now.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, you've got a number of other options across the top. Some we've already looked at, so they're exactly the same, such as the history, the configuration, the billing is exactly the same as before. There are some new ones like assets, which you're not going to use. We talked about earlier, we're not looking to use assets. If I go to contacts, there's Jason's name. I can add more contacts against that site.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to Jason's name and click on that just here, you can see there's these tick boxes. If you remember from before the break, we looked at the email notifications.
Yeah.
In this case, if I activated this job allocated one, it doesn't automatically put a tick in that box. It just activates it in the background. So there's two actions you need to do. Action one is in the settings, activate and edit and update the settings you have for email notifications. And two, you want to make sure the tick's inside the box, whichever relevant one you want. You can also add in automatically add to quotes or jobs
Mm-hmm.
or both. So what will happen is every
That's
time
gonna allow my engineers basically. Oh no, no. So
this will be your
I
customer
don't
contact.
understand why in the contact editing why would I add there the job cancelled or what?
So in this case, you can let your customer know if a job was cancelled, if a job was allocated, when the job's completed, or other things like when the engine is on their way. The system will automatically send out email to your contact
Okay.
if you wanted to put that and just put the ticks in the boxes. Another useful one is reminders. So you can say, for example, 7 days before the visit starts, your contact could receive an email.
Okay.
And you define what the email is in this area. So visit reminders,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, please remember your engineer is on their way. Your engineer will be attending the site on this date. So it's like
Yeah.
reminders you can send. You can have up to 3.
Okay.
So how many times they've asked that where your customer says, oh, I forgot you were coming. It's a good way that the system will automatically send out messages this way.
Mm-hmm.
You can have maybe up to 3. Maybe the next one could be only 1 day before. But
Okay.
quite useful to do.
Is it also working with the what's it called again? Oh, with us messages like text messages or not? Just the email.
You can set up text messages as well if you wanted to.
Mhm.
We would activate something in the background, but it's a chargeable service.
Okay. How much?
Okay.
How much
I'll
that?
find out for you. I'll find out how much it is, and I'll get back to you. That's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Excuse me. Yeah, you can enter and add in your contact information this way. And what will happen is every time you raise a new job or a quote, that person's automatically going to receive those messages on the system. So it's quite useful to have that.
Yeah.
The next one we've got is information. Now this one's quite useful. You've got information and notes. If I click on notes, you can add in notes about this site. For example, entrance is around the corner.
Mm-hmm. And that's gonna be for the engineer to see it, yeah?
That's it. These notes are marked as private and show on mobile, meaning that it's internal use only. Your customers won't get to see these.
Yeah. Just the
So you
engineer.
can enter things like that, or you can enter, for example, and save that. So these points will appear in the mobile phone for your engineers, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
appear on the mobile device as well. You can make notes publicly available as well.
All right.
So these ones can be made seen by the customer, either via the customer portal or via job sheets or invoice details.
Okay, yeah. And then if the customers, do they have to download the JobLogic app or they just can basically go to the link if they want to have a look at some pictures or something
Yeah,
like that?
it'll be in the link itself. As long as the notes are marked as public or the photos are marked as public, and they can see via the link.
Mm-hmm. And is it gonna come if I'm gonna send them the link? Is it gonna come through the JobLogic link, or is it gonna be some like a separate link, like Oxford Handy Guys or something?
It'll be the JobLogic one that they log into. For them, it's a separate link called portal.joblogic.com. That's what they log into.
Do they need to log in with the? Do they need to like sign in for it, or they just basically?
Yeah. So they'll have their email address and password.
So they need to
based
register.
on that, if you remember, we talked about this earlier. It's under the settings and customer portal access.
Yeah.
So what your customer will be doing, you'd create this for themselves. Add a portal link, add in the name of the customer and your email address for the customer. Select what levels, which customer they're going to see. Grant the permissions you require them to do, and then save it. And when they log in, they can see only what you provide for them.
But do they need to register into that, or they just because they obviously they don't have they don't have a password yet, so they need to register or?
So when you send this out, they'll receive an email. The email will ask them to create a password.
Okay.
And once they create a password, that's when they can log into that portal.joblogic.com.
Okay, cool. I got it.
And it's free of charge. There's no charge for anyone. Make sense?
Yeah.
Again, any problems, just let me know. We'll work on that together. Below that, you've also got warning notices. So I could add a warning, for example, in this case, edit. And as you can see, the warning pops up on the site. This warning will also appear on the mobile phone as well.
Okay.
What's really useful about this is when you log in a job, it'll appear on the web system. So I can say, select my customer and my site, and the warning populates. Oops, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
Just like that. Sometimes it's useful to add in these warnings, like for example, if the customer didn't pay. So you can say, suspended customer, don't book further jobs until customers paid up.
Yes.
You can have up to 3 warnings. You've also got an address map. And finally, you've got a forms logbook. Every time a form's been completed, the forms we talked about earlier, those questionnaires, they get stored in this area.
All right.
Finally, there's also related sites. So you can link up different locations if you wanted to, like a parent site and a child site. But that's adding customers and adding sites into JobLogic. I like to think it's fairly straightforward, but any problems, let us know. Either use our live chat or let us know.
One more question. If I add a customer,
Yep.
that is, if the customer is just private customer, I'm just adding the address into the customer's column, yeah? If I'm gonna have more sites at the one customer, I have to add it at sites column, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, yeah? Yeah.
So you do that underneath. You can click onto the customer then.
Yeah, I got it now.
Then go to site. Yeah, go to sites.
Okay.
Perfect. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to go into talk about jobs now.
Okay.
So to log a job, you can go into your jobs on the left-hand side and click log job. When you log a job, the first thing it's going to ask you is which customer are you selecting and which sites are you going to select. It won't show you other sites, but it'll only show you sites relating to this main customer.
Yes, of course.
If I scroll down, you can then start adding your job details, information about the job. There is a lot of information you can enter. Not everything is mandatory. You could actually just type in a description and click save, and the job's created on the system. However, there's some key things I would recommend to add on. Underneath your job type in the drop-down menu, as you can see, we've got the same listing we had before.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about how to add more to this. But could you give me an example, Vaz, of a job that you might carry out?
Example of job.
Any type of job.
So for instance, today there is it's a custom cabinet built.
Okay. Would that be an installation?
Sort of, yeah.
So it could be like install cabinet or cabinet builder, whatever you want to call it. You can add in the information. You can add as much information as you want in the description as well if you wanted to. Now, in the job category is another section. Your job category is a drop-down menu, and you can see there's a few options we've got. The job category actually is, you know how we saw in my diary earlier, the different colors for the different type of jobs. That's what it is. You could have installation of a cabinet. You can also choose your color. If you click on the plus button, there's more colors just here.
Yeah.
I'll just do something like that. Save. And that becomes part of the listing.
Okay, how did you, oh, in a plus column, yeah, no worries.
Plus button, yeah. So you could have like, it would be, for example, another job, repair, and that could be tap or sink.
Yeah.
Another one could be a call out for electrical works. Whatever you want, you can enter that information there.
I'm basically going to be creating it like all these little bits I'm going to be adding as I go with the jobs in it, because each job like be different, and then eventually I'm going to have a list of all these things.
100%, exactly that. If you wanted to, like at the start, this is what I might recommend to do. Go into these areas, like in this case, job categories, and we can configure these. Let me just delete all these other ones you might not be using. These are like some default ones we might have. It's this area. You might want to go into this and start adding your categories in, like, common jobs that you might get just to start off with. And then after, as you go along, as you mentioned, you can keep adding every time you go, and eventually your list will just build up.
All right. Can I just have a second, please? I need to have an important call, which is I need to take.
Yeah, no problem. Just let me know when you're free.
Hi, Asim. If you don't mind, can we have a discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you just told about the trade and SOR. So can you please let me know more about the trades? Like you mentioned, the plumber, electricians, and handymaid, trades. So it's just basically the wages or the particular designations of that occupation. Can you please clarify me?
Sure. So how it works in JobLogic is that in the library, we have something called selling rates. Selling rates is how we charge customers. Typically, you'll have two types of customers you charge. The first one will be done via an hourly rate. So if I go into this one called all chargeable works, we can say every hour, the rate is going to be, for example, £30 an hour.
I'm back, guys, but I'm just watching as well. Thank you.
Are you back now, Baz?
Yeah, but that's cool. Just carry on, please. It's good for me.
Okay, no problem. Again, Baz, we'll go through this in a lot more depth later. We've got £30 an hour for like a standard rate. But what the team can do is set up further rates for other types of work. For example, an electrician could be £50, or a handyman could be £32. A plumber we could have, for example, as £80. So on an hourly rate, based upon logging a job and selecting the correct one that we've got here, it will then have according to this. If we left that blank, it will go to the default rate.
Okay.
If the job was done on a half an hour only, then the system will automatically work out half of the value, but also the rounding option we saw earlier. And that's what that occurs. With job
All right.
logic, apart from the all chargeable works, we've also, as I mentioned, this is hourly rates. You've got labor, travel, mileage, and there's other things you can add in for this in the system, like callouts. Some things are also done by percentages. Like every time an engineer has used a part on a job, so let's just say I've used a battery pack. If we added 25% here, if the part was set up on the system at 25%, it's uplifted to the customer and charged out 25% extra.
Okay.
Now, Mohammed, you mentioned about the SORs.
Yeah.
It's a good example. Vaz and the Oxford Handy guys, they will be using something called schedule rates as well. So apart from having hourly rates, you can set up in the system what we call schedule rates. And what these are, schedule rates are fixed prices. For example, repair that could have a fixed price of how much we charge customers at £58. These
Okay.
SORs require codes as well, so I'll just normally like to abbreviate the names, so RT, add it there, and save. And we can start building a list of items as well. We haven't talked
Okay.
about this just yet, but when we create a job, once we finished it, you can then add in what the cost or the charge will be against that particular type of job. So you can import or even add further items, and this list will start building up. So when it comes to the office side, Vaz will simply click on a button to say this is how much you're going to charge the customer, picking from that list in the system. So that's the main two ways of working regarding schedule rates and also the selling rate. Does that make a bit more sense now?
Yeah, but the basic difference I want to understand, what's the SOR and trade? I think this is the same thing. Either it's a one-time job that's a SOR based, right? And when you are dealing with the hourly basis, that could be a trade.
That's right, exactly correct. So there are differences. SORs are more like one-time jobs, one-off fixed price jobs, and you've got the trades which are linked towards the selling rates on an hourly
All right.
basis.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Vaz, you there?
Yeah.
What we'll do, Vaz, is we'll go through that in a bit more depth in our next session because we're going to talk about invoicing. It'll make more sense if we connect the two together then.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. As I was mentioning earlier, job categories, we've added in that cabinet, but you can add other types of works as well. For yourself, moving forward, you'll be selecting your job trade that you could select. And this one I'm going to assume is handyman. If I scroll down, there are other things you can enter, such as customer's purchase order number. If you have any additional reference numbers, if there's any tags against the job, and you can create these if you wanted to as and when you build this up. There are other details like job owner, date log that's automatically done for you. These two parts I'll come back to later. I'm not going to overcomplicate anything, so I'm going to skip past some of these bits. But if I scroll down, you've got job allocation. Who is it I'm going to send the job to? Now, once you start adding in your staff members, on the drop-down menu, you've got the item, the users just there. So at the moment, it's only yourself, but I can click on your name. If I know what date and time you want to send the person out, I can start entering the information like this. And I'm going to say approximately this is going to be a 2-hour job on Wednesday. And what I'm going to do, so a 3-hour job, what I'm going to do is click on deploy to mobile.
Okay.
So what this does, it allocates the job over to you and deploys the job to the mobile device. For now, I'm just going to click on save.
What is engineer team? That is like two guys in a van, or?
I'll talk about that in a few moments' time. I'll come back to that later. For now, I'm just going to select one person and click save. So what this does, it creates a job on the system with a job number. And on the visits tab, you can see it's allocated and the user has got the job assigned to them and deployed to their mobile device. This
Okay.
icon means it's been sent to the engineer's mobile device.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you another example now. So I'm going to log another job, select my customer, choose site. This time I'm going to do repair.
Mm-hmm.
In the job category, I want to add a new one. So I'm just going to call it tap. Here's my trade. This time I'm going to scroll down and the same thing underneath job allocation. I'm going to select yourself. However, I'm not going to click deploy to mobile. What happens is the job's created on the system, allocated to the user, but it's not sent to the mobile device. If I save that, you can see it's allocated, but it's not sent to the mobile device.
So it's not going to even appear on his calendar.
It'll appear in the calendar on the web system, but it won't appear on the mobile phone.
Okay.
You
So
might be, for example,
always
waiting.
has to appear on a mobile phone, right?
Yeah, if you click deploy, then it'll send out on the mobile phone. But because I'm sending this immediately, maybe I want to call my engine to say, are you okay to go to the job now before I deploy the mobile, deploy it out? Because they might get confused as what's going on.
Got it. But what if I'm booking like the job like in a month in advance? Then I'll deploy it straight away to his phone, yeah?
You can deploy it straight away if you wanted to, and then it'll appear inside the calendar, ready for them to see that in 1 month's time. It'll be there, but it'll appear in 1 month's time.
Okay. And then from the side of the engineer, we're gonna talk the next time, yeah. Like
That's right. Yeah,
as well.
correct. We'll go through the mobile side on the next session.
Alright.
Inside here, you can see Vaz's name, just your name there, sorry. You can click on the 3 dots. You can also deploy to mobile on the right-hand side. So once let's just say, for example, we're waiting for something, waiting for confirmation, or maybe we're looking for parts before we send this out. Then when we've got everything, we can then deploy it after.
Okay.
So first job, we deployed it and allocated. This one is only allocated, not deployed. And job number 3 is another option. This one, I can select my customer, choose my site. And this one, what we're going to do is, I'll do another repair job. We'll call this lighting. Okay, I'm making this up. If I scroll down once again, this time I don't know who I want to send it to. What I'm going to do is create the job on the system. So I'm going to enter a preferred appointment date. So ideally, the customer wants a job at 12 o'clock on Friday. So I'm just entering that information only at the top. I can't deploy to mobile because it's not got an engineer selected.
Yeah.
And this one, when I click save, the job's created on the system as a new job and no one's selected on the visits. How this works now, if I go to all jobs, we can see all 3 jobs are created. The first job on the system is allocated and deployed to the engineer.
Yeah.
That will appear in the mobile device. The second one is allocated but not deployed. Third one is created on the system, but it's not sent to anyone in particular. This third job will also appear under requires allocation, as in this job has been created, but it's not been sent to anyone just yet. Now, what I can do with this job, with these jobs, if I go to engineers and view planner, we'll be able to see all of our jobs. So there's job number 1, allocated and deployed. There's job number 2, allocated only. And job number 3 is in the calendar, but it's not on an engineer's name. It sits underneath the jobs panel. Because I entered a date, it sits there. And what I can do is click and drag the job to whoever I require it for.
Okay.
Once I do that, see the jobs are there.
Yeah.
You can either click onto the job card, scroll down, and click deploy visit.
Okay. And can I change the engineer as well?
You can, yes.
If I got more in the, obviously, if they're going to be more in the database, more guys, then where do I change it? Oh,
Either
there.
at the menu, you can change that there, or you'll be able to click and drag it to another engineer. But also, apart from deploying it one by one, you can click on batch deploy. Batch deploy will deploy both visits for the time period I'm looking at now. So if I click confirm, both of those jobs are going to now appear updated with the new icons. The icons will always update based upon what you press on the mobile phone. So when you start a job and you travel to the job and have a car, as in you traveling to the job, if he has a building symbol, you're on site. If he has a green tick, you've completed the job. We'll talk more so about the icons and the statuses when we talk about the mobile phone on Thursday. Okay, with these job cards, just to show you, if I click inside the job, we can scroll down and you click onto the job number as well. It takes you back inside the job. Within our job, I can see there's a number of listings across the top. You can click edit to update details about the job as you require. You can also look at your contact information and update it. So this one, I didn't assign a contact. So I can click onto that and I can assign a contact just here. Now, as I talked about earlier with your notifications, if you already added on these tick boxes, you don't have to assign a contact every time. The system will do it automatically.
Yeah.
The costing side, we're going to talk about in our next session. If you didn't assign any visits for any particular person and you were looking to send it to a subcontractor, you can go to your subcontractors. Within here, in the drop-down menu, you can select your subcontractor and allocate it that way.
Okay.
They will receive an email of the information of the job. And you can add in other instructions and select any other notes you've already added on. When I click save, it emails out the subcontractor the notes about the job.
Yeah. Where can I add some pictures as well, what they need to do?
And so you can click onto either add notes just here, add attachments, as well as photos, or you can go in the official place underneath information and notes to add in attachments and notes just there.
Yeah.
Finally, with this job, you've also got job forms. So you didn't talk about those questionnaires earlier we talked about. You can assign forms if you did deploy any forms out there. With the visits tab as well, even though you've got one person assigned here, you could save as you're going to go on this job again on the 27th, which is forward date times. Let's just say from 2:30 finishing and 1:30 starting. So I can allocate that across and deploy it from here if required. So it's the same job number, but there's 2 visits. What will happen is the engineer will go out on the job. They'll fill out everything for job number 1, for visit number 1, and for visit number 2. And that will then have 2 sets of labor, 2 sets of travel, or 2 sets of whatever charges we assign for the customer. All make sense?
Yeah.
Love it. Back in the planner, if I just press refresh, because I added another job, as you can see, is now populated just then. Sometimes you might have to refresh the page to see the latest version, But because you're the only person working in the office, you might need to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you, any questions about the job side so far?
Not so far.
Okay. As you can see with the main all jobs section, we can see a list of all jobs. These jobs, once they start the process, they're going to move from different areas of the system. When jobs are completed by engineers, they'll sit underneath completed today. If the engineer on the mobile device says this job requires further works, they'll sit underneath requires revisit.
Mhm.
As we saw earlier, requires allocation is when they're not been allocated to anyone particular.
Yeah.
And there are some other manual processes, such as that one. There's some things regarding priorities regarding that one. And there's another process just there. I'm going to talk about these four now. When I'm logging a job on the system, one of the things I haven't mentioned so far is this one called requires approval. This is a really powerful button. I think it's very useful to have. If you put a tick in the box just there, what will happen is engineer will complete the job on the mobile phone and the job will then go into requires approval.
So I have to approve it if it's everything okay
Exactly. And once you check the notes and the photos and everything's been done, you approve the job, it'll go then into approved.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I want it.
You can make that already done by default. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to put a tick in the box every time. Would you like me to do that as default for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's actually in your number convention, so we've seen this before. But what I'll do is I'll add this one for you.
Okay, so yeah. And
There we
also,
go.
I see there is a default time on the side, yeah?
You
Why?
can change that if you wanted to.
Okay. But
So you can say,
why is it 60 minutes? So like, I mean, what? Because that is never going to be default, isn't it? Like,
yeah, sometimes it might change. So in this case, if I did select a type of job, by default it's saying 1 hour, but you can always change that to whatever time
oh,
it
I
is
can
you want
change it
to.
in the calendar. Ah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. That's that. I mean, like the default hour is okay then. No worries. I thought I can't change it, but
No, yeah, you
I can
can.
put it in a job log. That's log job. That's okay then.
Now I've clicked on log job and you put the ticks in the boxes, it's automatically got that selection.
Yeah.
So just to show you that process, if I went in this, I just wrote test and this already requires approval, click save. What's going to happen is in my job now, let's fast forward time and say the engine has completed the job. This job now
Mm-hmm.
will then go into requires approval. So it's completed, but we need to approve the job. So we click in the job number. And what we can do is check things like the notes, the cost things, is everything correct? All the photos there, we can update any additional notes, and then we can approve the job at the end. We can add any additional notes. In this case, it does require a note. I just normally like to put my initials and date stamp here like this. Click on save, and then the job is completed and approved.
Mm-hmm.
So now in my job section, that job will move away from requires approval to approved, ready for invoicing, which we'll talk about in our next session. Does that make sense? So we've reviewed the job and then we move it to approved once it's all been done.
Mm-hmm.
Happy with that?
Yeah. And well, can you click on the approve one more once again, please? Once it's approved, and then I just need to click on that again and then invoice it. Yeah, at
Yeah,
invoice.
that's it. I will talk about the invoicing process in our next session after we go through costings. Okay. There's another one called In Jeopardy. It's
Mhm.
related to something called priority jobs. I don't know if you have any priority jobs in system, but it's called KPIs.
Mhm.
How it works is you set up these in the system as that we have to have a certain response time assigned to the system.
Okay.
If we enter that information on, the system will then add in what we call a priority, and it shows you how much time remaining we have to
Mhm.
meet the priority of that job. If we have, if we're close to missing the target, the job will appear underneath in jeopardy. Say we're
Mhm.
in jeopardy of missing this target. Do you have anything like that at all?
Sometimes, not really.
Okay. If you're interested in that a little bit more, we can talk about that, but let me know.
Yeah.
The final thing to mention is at the moment, this is actually a search list and it shows you all data. If you click on show advanced just here, it shows us a lot more information on the system. And I
Mhm.
can search for example, all my completed jobs done at a certain time period, maybe assigned by a particular engineer, maybe a specific job category.
Mhm.
And the more search criteria we enter, the more filtered our results will be. The wider results we have, the more open this is, the more open results we have there.
And let's say, however, we can't complete the job at the day we're supposed to, and already, like, let's say my handyman told me like the customer is free next Thursday to complete the job. How am I gonna? Am I just gonna sign a new job? I'm just gonna click on the job we already
You
doing.
can, it depends on how the handyman is done in the first place. So on the mobile phone, remember how we talked about left site?
Yeah.
So they can start the job as on site and then say left site and then leave it blank, leave it on the mobile phone diary. And then whenever the customer's ready for the further visit, engineer can go back on site and start it up again.
Okay, so I'm gonna change the date when the yeah. So I'm just gonna basically renew the date.
The other option would be engineer on the mobile phone will say further works required. I'll show
Okay.
you this on Thursday. But what will happen is the job will then sit underneath requires revisit.
Okay. Okay.
You can pick up the job, go to visits, and either log related work or add in further works to say next week the customer's free at this time. You can allocate the further works. The job goes back to allocated.
Okay. Sweet.
I'll show you that process on the mobile phone. It'll be more easier to see that from mobile device and how it appears in the web system that way.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've gone through quite a lot so far. We've gone through the settings and I've given you some instructions what to do. Just to let you know, that's going to be the priority of what I'd like you to get done. There are other things. Some of these will be quick and easy, like, for example, that one. This one I've already done for you, but if you want to add in further trades, think about it, add them in. We've also gone through adding a test customer and a site. We've added a few test jobs, and we briefly looked at the planner.
Mhm.
Just to give you some options now. So in our next session, what I'm looking to do is we're going to go through some more settings about the selling rates and your finances. We're going to look at the planner in a little bit more depth. We're also going to look at your engineer's mobile device, which is going to take quite a lot of time, the main chunk of time next week, and on Thursday, sorry, about how that all works. And then we're going to look at invoicing after that.
Okay.
Did you want me to go through quotes now, or do you want to go through that next time? How do you feel so far?
Yeah, I mean, if we can do next time, because next time is going to be my partner with me as well, like business
Okay.
partner. So if we maybe can do a little bit shorter today, and then we can add more hours on the next session, that would be amazing.
I won't be able to add any further hours, but we can dedicate all of that as additional things for next time. Definitely, we can do that then. So I can't take 1 hour off now and add it on later because I've got other meetings, you see.
Yeah, yeah.
It's up to you. Like we can remember the session's recorded, so your partner can always look at this now. Or again, we can just talk about the quoting in our next session.
Yeah, or the next one is going to be. I mean, like it's. I understand it quite well, so it's and he will understand it quite well and fast.
Okay.
So
Okay. So do you want me to carry on now, or do you want to call the meeting a close for now?
we can carry on a little bit then, yeah, as well.
Okay. So what would you like me to go through? Should I go through the planner for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Inside your planner, at the moment, as I mentioned, we've only got yourself there, but when you've got more engineers, it's going to look a bit like this. You can see loads of different engineers like this. That's my diary. But in this case, you can see you've got a number of dates across the top. You've got your timings on the left-hand side. The big red line in the middle shows you your current time,
Yeah.
what you're currently on. Every job will be shown on the screen, and you can hover over the bottom to extend or reduce the timing. And as you can see, just here with my mouse is, that goes up and down by half an hour each.
Yeah.
You can also click and drag these jobs to different timings, or
Mm-hmm.
you can move them to different engineers, like we mentioned. Once you have more people, more staff people added on, you'll be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When you click on the job card itself, you can actually scroll down and click on the job number. It will open up the job for you like this.
Mm-hmm.
You can update all the details here, or go into the job number to update further information inside it. Across the top, you've got the standard view, and this is currently called the week view.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you the start day of the 24th to the 2nd of March.
Yeah.
If I click onto this, you can jump by weeks, or click onto the months by jumping months.
Yeah.
Click on there, and you can jump quickly by months, or by years, or even decades. I don't think you'll log a job in 2099, but you can jump very quickly that way. If you click on today, it takes you back to today.
No problem.
The day view will show you only what's happening today. The more engineers you have, the more squashed up the columns will be, like you saw earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The week view will show you the weekly basis. The month view will also show you the month by month date. It's more like a calendar view like this. Agenda only shows you booked jobs, which is quite nice. Whereas the timeline shows you availability, how much hours you have available like this. Inside this screen, you can log a job as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you start entering the information as you normally would do. Alternatively, you can click and drag your columns that will fill up the information of the person and the timing as well automatically.
Yeah.
We talked about booking non-productive time.
Mm-hmm.
You can even batch.
I mean, if there is already something in the time of, let's say, 10 till 13 hours, is already the one job is assigned. Can I? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's okay. I got it now, mate. Yeah, that's fine.
You can do it like this, but what will happen is if it's double booked like this, engineer will press on-site and complete for job number 1 and on-site and complete for job number 2. So it might end up becoming like this, 2 separated jobs.
Yeah, but if I got like two
That's
engineers in the same day, then obviously it's going to line up in the same column, right?
it, yeah.
Yeah.
And they can choose which jobs they want to start first or second, just like how they want to.
Okay.
You've also got batch move. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in my system. The batch move will allow you to select an engineer and say which jobs he wants to move over to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, then move over the jobs. You can also add other targets as well. So where the jobs are coming from is called the source engineer, and where they're going to. We can select other people on the system like this.
Okay.
Otherwise, you could always just do click and drag,
Mm-hmm.
as we talked about. The batch deploy we did earlier, we can deploy multiple jobs at the same time. And finally, you can do full screen and refresh the page as well. On the right-hand side, you've got your jobs panel. This will show you all jobs which have not been allocated. You can filter your list just there by typing in a word, like the customer name, a postcode, or the description. Or you can even click on the magnifying glass to filter further details. These are the same details you have underneath your job section. I'm just going to save that information for you. Come out of that. So you can see there's other jobs that we've got, and simply click and drag the jobs over that. If you made a mistake and that's not supposed to be there, click on the job, cancel the visit. And once you refresh your page, that will appear back in that column.
All right.
The final thing to mention is underneath your filters at the top. When you have more engineers, you'll see the name of the people just there, and you can check or uncheck the people you want in view. You can also choose what type of engineers you want, what type of visits you want to see, including cancel visits, displaying working hours only, and so on and so forth. And if you had, I don't think it will apply for you just yet, but because if you have 3 groups of people, you click on apply filter, and you will be able to see the people involved.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier, one question you had there, Baz, was about the teams. What is a team and how do engineer team work? So I went into settings, back into staff, and underneath engineer teams. You can create teams of people in the system. The thing to think about this way is you select the team itself, the people in the team. One person is the leader. This leader is the only person who will receive the job on the mobile phone.
Okay.
And you can add as many other people as you want in the teams as you require.
Yeah.
The only thing to remember is that only the leader will be filling out the mobile phone.
Yeah.
No one else will.
Yeah.
But the other people will not receive the jobs on the mobile device. So it depends on how you want to set things up on the system, whether you have individual people's names or you have the people's vans. And
Yeah.
number 1, 2, 3, however you want to set that up. Okay. And that's your planner. So it'll take a few, the more time practice you have, the better you're going to become at it. But the more practice you just need to keep at it. And you'll get used to it very quickly.
No, I mean, it's pretty simple. I understand everything you say, but it's just, I may be going to get a little bit lost about, like, in the time I'm going to be doing it. But then obviously, if I can ask for anything, that is fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool. Any other questions or anything else you'd like me to go through right now?
I'm pretty fine with this, mate. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to send out the recording for yourself as well as these points that we have. Points that we have here today. I'll send that over to yourself
If you can also add, how can I get to the page when I can actually see the videos? Oh yeah, that's just in a help, right? Oh, that's fine.
It's just on help, but I'll add that on anyway for you.
Yeah. And then I type in that column, like in the search bar, type like whatever I need to help with, and that's obviously going to pop out, right?
That's it. Type it in, and I've got loads of different things inside there. It'll also show you the top 10 things that you can search under. You can look on videos as well as user guides as well.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. If there's no other questions for us, we can call the meeting a close, and I'll see you on Thursday.
No worries. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thanks for your time.
Are you
Mohammed
going to
Bilal,
send it today?
I'll send the recording out today, yeah.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Hello.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Cheers.